Alrighty, so working on Honda here. Got some pretty cool new upgrades going in. Take a guess there. And then the main reason was for this. And now that I've actually got the new piece and the old piece, I can show you what all I'm excited for. So, one, we're shedding weight, which is good. Trying to get it in the light. See it yet? I know you're probably thinking, oh, what's the big deal? Well, I'm just thinking about turbulence down the road here. Obviously, this car's got 200,000 miles, so the turbulence isn't too bad, but it bugs me knowing that it is the way it is. It's not as high performance as it could be. How the dealer did it is just coming, it doesn't even do a straight 90 really. It just bugs me because the air from here exhaust has got to push this exhaust back instead of it coming back. And I know it's working the air and it's not expanded here like air. I guess air likes to expand when it turns, so they didn't expand this out. But I guess it's better than nothing. But it actually comes back and is gonna flow more straight back, so there's less turbulence. Okay, and the main reason for the swap today was for ye old O2 sensor, and you're probably wondering what the hell happened to that, but that would be code name Big Nasty with a chisel. If you don't know what Big Nasty is, it's an Ingersoll Rand. I can't remember the size of it, but it's the bigger shank air hammer, and it is a fucking beast when it comes to knocking stuff loose. And here we are. It just blew it apart. Was not intending to do that. I was hitting it right here, and of course it slipped and whatever, but the sucker was rusted in there, something fierce. So not even really rusted, just stuck. It's not that rusted, so, and considering the fact, well, no, it's not really anymore, but whatever. So, new exhaust, cool beans, right? I think I put the manifolds in the box. Take a quick peek at them guys. The main reason was doing the O2 sensors. I've got a check engine light for O2 sensor slow or whatever, so get these guys in the light. It's black outside, so and this is all the light I've got. Just have to deal with it. Okay. This one is the rear one for some reason. They thought it needed a kink in it. Unless this one's the back one. It really doesn't say, and this one doesn't have a kink in it, so yeah, I don't know. So it doesn't. I don't think it matters. But now these look pretty decent. It's just a cheapo kit off of eBay for $140. Not too bad on price, but obviously the inside of that looks a little shitty, to be honest. Like that's not gonna flow very great. It's pretty chunky and oofta. That one's a little ugly looking. I think this one, well, in the dark looked a little bit better. But yeah, so those are the new guys. So I'm excited to get them on the car. Do a little wire brush down there, not much, and then slap a new gasket, slap the manifold on, and I already made sure the O2 sensor threads in beautiful. So and I'm really going to have to get after the rear O2 sensor, the one behind the catalytic converter, because I sprayed it with some PB Blaster when I stripped that one out, which is about a week ago. And so it's been sitting a little bit. But I think I'm going to have to hit it with the torch, because I used a crow's foot on that sensor, and I tried fitting my O2 sensor socket on there, but Honda didn't give me enough room for that socket, just about 1/8 of an inch short. So, well, 1/8 of it short height-wise for the socket itself, getting a ratchet on there too. Yeah, right. But then I used a wrench after that because the wrench felt tight. The crow's foot started to strip it out. It actually jumped a tooth. Oh, you frickin' piece of beepity beep it beep. And so I stuck the 22 mil wrench on there, 21, I think it's 22, and it was pretty damn tight. They tried a 7/8 or whatever, and it was really loose. And 22 was the tightest I could get. That was a 22 millimeter crow's foot. And I know O2 sensor, the new one, is 7/8. It's really tight fit, but for some reason these older ones weren't. They're rusted just away just a little bit, enough to make it sketchy. But even the crow's foot stripped it out, so there was not a lot of... And I don't just, stick a crow's foot on there and then just, yank. I kind of do a jerking motion with leverage, with pressure on it, trying to break that loose without just, full ham on it, because that's just stupid. But, it did not want to budge. And the last manifold bolt on the downpipe really didn't want to come out either on the backside. I had to get after it with an impact. I even tried using a what's supposed to be used with your when you're doing glow plugs on the Duramax. This is what I got from Merchant Automotive. You put a socket on the end and you rattle it loose, but rattle glow plugs loose. But I tried that, but this damn Harbor Freight piece of crap frickin' impact, I call it the tickler because it literally does nothing but tickle. I don't know that you could chip a tooth with that thing. It is so frickin' weak. Harbor Freight, POS, can't stand it. And the annoying thing is Grandpa's is around here too. Grandpa had a really old Central Pneumatic Harbor Freight piece of crap, but this thing had more chooch in it than the other one did, mine. And then I hooked this one up today, and it just quit. It just shoots air when you pull the trigger. It doesn't activate. I tried banging on it, beating on it. It's loose, but it ain't frickin' hammering. So frickin' garbage, I tell you. Hate Harbor Freight shit with a passion, but there's some things that are nice to have. And one of those being, now that it's 10 miles underneath the car, pretty much. Nope, it's up here, so I just got done using it. This guy. It's really thin. That is why I like it. It is really thin for being a 3/8 and a quarter with leverage. That is nice. All these 1/4-inch drive stuff are, freaking 3 inches long. That's not enough leverage for a lot of stuff. You end up getting into 1/4-inch stuff. So that's just nice to have the leverage. And it's thin. You can get into some really tight spots. And I'm not a big fan of bendy heads because they don't lock. They don't lock. And they just, you're got it in a place where you can't frickin', have two hands to hold the head and hold the handle to keep it in line where you need it. So you're in there and it's just, it's one of those things. And yes, I know not everybody has this problem, but for some reason, most of the shit I work on, I can't get a bendy head, or when you need it to be at an angle, but you can't get your hand in there at the same time. Oh, I tell you. They don't lock. I hate it. But, and then I'll show you. I've done it, shown you before, but this is my other handy dandy best friend when it comes to tools. This is a Stanley 7-85-7, 82? Or 6? 8. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. This guy, this'll take a frickin' beating, I tell you what. And they're about the same length. Look at that. They're about the same length. But the neck on this guy, obviously being thinner, is a lot weaker. I mean, you start torquing on it and you're going to shear this bolt right here that holds that. I mean, you see it bending and you're like, uh-oh. But this guy's got some girth around the neck and it just frickin' rips. So I've used these guys have seen some torque that the half-inch drives have seen. Haven't even seen. That's usually my go-to for everything when it comes to ratchets. And it's not the finest tooth thing. Has a lot of slop in between gears, but let me tell you, or in between teeth, but let me tell you, it will take the abuse. I'm on my second one. The first one, I had a bar on the end of it, and I was holding on to the receiver hitch of the truck, pushing with my foot, trying to break loose one of the rear caliper bolts on the truck. Yeah, it was rusted. That was on my 06 Sierra, and it had not been touched in a very long time. And let me tell you, them suckers, they just get so tight. It was with a T55 socket of all things. You're like, don't strip, please don't strip, please don't strip. And it didn't. I mean, when it finally busted loose, the wrench went flying, foot went, shooting out, and oh man, and I was like, shit, we just stripped it, guaranteed. No, surprisingly we didn't. It broke loose. I was like, no freaking way. There's just no way sometimes these things break loose. But I had to scavenge parts off of, I would have been on my third one, but I scavenged parts off my old one because this collar pin came out. And then the little guy that does the ratcheting head on this, and this head locks, which is nice. The little guy that, gives it its click action, since that pin popped out, it had shot out spring-loaded and couldn't find it, or didn't even know what it looked like, so I didn't know what I was looking for. And trust me, around here, there's always things on the ground, and you can't find stuff for nothing. I mean, out here, you set something down, it's practically gone forever until this place is cleaned out, and oh my gosh. So, but it's just nice that this head locks. It's got a little bit of slop, but not bad in it. Let me tell you, it'll take some abuse. 20-some bucks for that. Obviously, 20-some bucks for this. They have their days. They have their purpose. And since this one had been out of commission for a while, I've been using the crap out of these. And I'm on my third one of the Harbor Freight already. Because I was doing the motor mount. I did that the same day I did the O2 sensor and stripped that out. I changed out the upper motor mount, or the front motor mount, I should say. And I had it on an extension way up here, and I'm reefing on it, and all of a sudden, snap! And I was like, uh-oh. And then I look, and the little switch guy there had busted off, and I was like, of course. Of course, because this one was still out of commission. And I was like... And then I also bought a couple more. This is my ratchet and socket stuff, and yes, there's sockets out in use places, so... That's why some of them is at the moment. But I didn't buy this guy today or whatever, but I got the smaller guy, the shorter guy. There's times where I needed the thin one, but it was too long. And so I got that, even though the heads don't swivel, which is, in my book, a good thing. Then I also got this guy, too. It's their ratcheting extendable nightclub type thing. Billy club, I should say, whatever. Nightstick, there you go. Obviously, 1/4 and 3/8, so figured, you know what, my Stanley was out of commission at the time, and I was like, I really miss my Stanley. This thing's got some heft to it, some weight, I should say, so I figured, why not? It was 20-some bucks for that, and it was like 18 bucks for that. Then I had bought this guy. It's a Allen 58380RAE. This guy, the head pops back and forth for different directions, but it is a gearless ratchet. And that's pretty handy because, you get in them tight spots and you need, I don't use it all that often, and a lot of times, for some reason, the head ends up retracting inside and the socket pops off. That's rather annoying, but there's times where you just need that uber amount of tightness and no slop in the handle as you're trying to ratchet. That's where that guy comes in. Fantastic. So, apart from that, that's what's happening. We can show you the old manifold and the new manifold. So not a whole lot going on. It's obviously longer, but so you really do have to end up using the new manifolds. I just noticed that there's no two ways about it. This is the first time I'm comparing these, so unfortunately, the one thing I did notice right away was I'm not going to be able to use the heat shields, so I'm going to have to wrap them so there's not so much heat in the engine bay. Because, you got the wires hanging over the backside, and the heater valve thing, the plastic guy down there that the heater hoses, and that's close to the exhaust, and I just don't need melted plastic, so I don't need all the other under hood temps and whatnot, so I'll have to go get some more of that exhaust wrap. So I'm pretty sure I'm out. And but you can see how this guy just comes over here and comes over there, and basically the pressure builds up and it has to obviously go one place, but this one, they come out of the respective and then meet in one. And so I'm excited to see how these do. I've read online that you can just expect maybe some throttle response. But I would expect to see just a little bit more efficiency out of the car, seeing it can breathe better. So it'll be interesting to see how all this does. But came with all new gaskets, so that's handy dandy. And one of these is used for the catalytic converter, so that's good, because I had taken that front section off when I did the transmission, and I did not have new gaskets, and these guys are flat, flush in there, and I don't even think any of it had popped out, which was kind of a good thing. So, but yeah, them suckers were in there. So I'm just excited. It's got a flex joint. It's got a hanger on it already, and I just pop the new O2 sensor in, and bam, wham, bam, done. So sweet. I just got to wrap the header, and I got to do that before they go in, obviously. So I'm probably gonna have to run to town and pick some up, which sucks. It's just expensive at O'Reilly's. It's like almost $30, I think, for a roll of the stuff, but it does go a little ways. So need to get some of that, get this done. And I know, why am I spending money on this thing? Well, like I said, it wasn't even horribly expensive, $140, maybe $160 with tax, but not the worst thing in the world, and it gives me the peace of mind knowing it's flowing better there and it's flowing better here, because I never paid attention to these before, so I'm glad to see that we'll get a little bit better flow, less restriction. And then the catalytic converter is the next culprit of thing that it'd probably plug up next. It doesn't look horrible. There's some crap on it, but I mean, a little bit of crap, but not a lot. Nothing to go, oh boy. It's just like, oh, well, I can see that we're going to be facing you one day. But, so, apart from the O2 sensors, the only other code I'm getting is evap system. I have a smoke machine. I just haven't wanted to go through all the hoo-ha of doing that. It'd be my first time doing evap leak and a smoke test and whatnot, but just not looking forward to that. Considering the fact I've had this car almost 2 years now, and I have yet to put like 5,000 miles on this thing. I think it had 193,000, and now it's got like 198,000. How many miles did I say? Yeah, I don't even think I put 6,000 miles on this thing in the last 2 years. Well, obviously it sat for almost a whole year. Then I did the transmission, and then it sat most of the summer because the AC doesn't work, and it was a hot summer. And I do not do well in heat. I have to have my AC, and that's not just a wimpy thing. That's just how it is. So it did not get driven hardly at all. And when I was less enthused with how this transmission is performing, it is more or less on its way out. It has a bit of a flare, and the flare is only getting better. So that's when I also got this guy, and it sat for not even a month, and I was like, I gotta fix it. I want to drive it right now. So I got the engine put in this guy, and I've been driving it. I mean, I put 10 or 11,000 miles on it in 5 months. So I drive the snot out of my vehicles. I'm not too nice with them. And this one, believe it or not, this engine will probably kick that car's ass. And I'm not even joking. Probably not monumentally, but this 3-liter's got some serious freaking torque to her. She freaking rips. So I'm very surprised at the amount of power this thing's got. It beat a 2019 Chevy Equinox, and I don't know what motor it had in it, but some old guy was road raging with me. He initiated it, and I was like, I'm not having... He flipped me off for no freaking reason. He just drove... I'm already speeding. I'm already doing almost 5 or 10 over the speed limit, and he goes around me, drives next to me, and flips me off and cuts me off. And I'm like, uh-oh. Okay, and without turn signal. I'm sorry. If you're going to cut me off, I won't get too pissed if you've used your turn signal. At least you're being courteous and saying, hey, I need to get in here. Okay. But the minute you just in front of me without a turn signal, button pushed, beast mode initiate, and I know it's not the greatest thing, but God bless it. So I freaking floored it, and I went around him, and I cut him off without I think I cut him off with a turn signal, so I was being nice about it, but God bless it, I tell you. Use your turn signal. So, he didn't like that. His wife, I'm sure, was freaking the frick out because he's driving like a maniac, and of course, I didn't have anybody with me, so... Oh, I'm sure he was getting a load of it, and he's running away. Shut up! Oh man, so yeah, I got in front of him. Well, I should say this: I floored it. Went to go around him, and he floored it too. He's like, "Oh no, you don't!" And I just walked right past him. I got in front of him, and it was right up to a red light, and I slammed on the brakes because I was not going through the red light. And it was probably pretty damn close to getting rear-ended. It was probably one of the sketchier road rage things I've done, but I knew my car could do it, and I was hoping his could too, and he did, and I just took off from the stoplight like nothing happened. I just do, which I knew that pissed him off, because as soon as he got the opportunity, he came and tried to get around me. I floored it again. She just bucked right along and walked away from him. Then he got back in behind me, and I slowed back down. I was doing the speed limit. Oh, but then we were getting on Highway 10 at that point, and I just kicked her down. Was doing about 80 or so, and I was doing my traffic weaving in and out thing, and got way ahead of him, and he wasn't trying to keep up at that point. And I was like, yeah, don't road rage with me, because I'm not going to run you off the road, but I probably will kick your ass in a drag race. So if you're driving something daily, not something 50,000 horsepower, So I suppose I need to go figure out what the poop is here, and if I got any more rap, and get this done, because I've already wasted almost a half hour just blabbing. So, but hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll keep you updated to see how this thing really squeals the tires with the new exhaust. So there's one thing I thoroughly enjoy about this car, and it's the V6. It's very responsive. It gets up and goes. For being a 98, this thing was ahead of its time in its day, I think. So very happy that the sad thing is this engine, compared to what was in my 98 Seville, or my 2001 Seville, which had the same horsepower and same pretty much engine that the 98 Seville had. So my 2001, this thing would outrun my 01 Seville. That's pretty sad, because this only has 200 horse, 230 horse tops. I don't remember what these things have. I think it's over 200. And then my Seville had 300 horse, 295 foot-pounds, and I think this only has like 100 and something foot-pounds of torque, 190 something, I want to say. But it's no slouch. And obviously this is monumentally lighter than my Seville was too. If you put this in my Seville, good luck getting anywhere. But considering the fact that an extra 1.6 liters and 2 cylinders and my Seville got better mileage than this thing did, both being front-wheel drive, the other car being monumentally heavier and having 70 plus more horsepower and a little, maybe 100 more torque, less than 100 more torque, and it fuel mileage-wise, it run all over this thing, which is very kind of surprising if you ask me. More fuel, a little more power, more torque, and a lot more weight, probably another 1,000 pounds or more, and my Seville got a lot better mileage than this. So that sucks that this has an extra gear on top of what my Seville had. It's a 5-speed instead of a 4-speed. Rear wheel drive, which adds weight, but this gets like 4 miles to the gallon less than my Seville did. That's disappointing, incredibly. But this also has variable valve timing where my Seville wasn't. So I don't know if that takes away from horsepower or from fuel mileage and adds horsepower, because it's got 20 extra horsepower, 25 extra horsepower over the Seville. But it's got what, almost a half a second faster 0 to 60 times. So 20 variable valve timing and about the same curb weight. And this thing walks all over the Seville. But, oh well. So, interesting facts. Just put it that way. So, but the fact that I'm less into that car, I think, than I am this one. This one I've dumped a lot of money into between wheels and tires, which are big adage. $450 or almost $500 for the transmission, doing the whole cradle and needing to be replaced, the motor mount, we're doing the exhaust, O2 sensors, I had to buy a new intake tube, idle air control, I had to do battery cables. Oh, cruise control doesn't work now for some dumb reason. Light comes on, but it doesn't do anything. Had to do rear brake lines. We did rotors, calipers, brake pads, all the way around. New rubber brake lines. And this one got new rear calipers and pads and rotors. Got new front rotors, new front pads, and no new rubber lines at all. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong on that. Pretty sure, though. But I could be wrong about that. But either way, engine, rear strut. Actually, I'm more into this one now just because of rear struts. And doing front strut mounts. We did a motor mount. And now all this added bling. And we're a little bit more into that one than we are this one. But this one, if I kept going, it needs a timing belt. The power steering's leaking a little bit. It needs new O-rings. It's got a new power steering line as well. Needs new front hood struts because they're really weak. I mean, the hood just kind of wants to fall down, which is not ideal. Transmission needs a rebuild if it's to be successful in life. Needs CV axles because I tried repacking them and they are leaking. That is semi my fault, semi not. The clamps they gave me were not like the original, which are PEX ring clamps. And I have the pliers for them, but they didn't give me any new PEX rings. They gave me ones you pull and tuck. And I pulled as hard as I physically could, and they weren't tight enough. I mean, they're tight, they don't move, but it's tight enough the grease gets out. So these new CV axles, because they were really tight and stiff anyway, like they were starting to lock up. So I'm sure that takes away from my fuel efficiency on this a bit because it's more friction. But new grease did help, though. It did. It's just not ideal. AC, that'd probably run me $300-400 to refix the entire AC system, which the compressor's shot. It's got a brand new condenser. It's got a new radiator. I don't know if I did air filter in this or not. But I put a lot of parts in this thing. Oh, and the interior, too. Having to do the heater box, the heater core. Having to get new carpet, which still stinks. And I got a different seat from an Acura instead of the Honda seat. It's a whole lot more comfortable, believe me. And all the time I've got into this thing, it's just relentlessly stupid. So, but it's a good running car. It purrs like an absolute kitten. But timing belt alone is $200 and some for the right brand you're supposed to use with Hondas, not just Chinese off the shelf garbage. So probably could stand a new belt because it does squeak. It's probably going to need front brake lines maybe at some point. Apart from that, if I could fix the rust on this thing behind the wheel wells and the hole in the rocker, this car would be really, really solid. And it would buff up really nice. But I don't know. Oh, front strut bushings too. It needs those. And I have those for that car as well. This thing needs an alignment anyway. This strut's been replaced before. This one's still original. The rear ones are original. It needs all new struts pretty much. But I figured for now, new strut mounts will get rid of the knocking I have. So $15 a side, $20 an O2 sensor, $25 or whatever. Oh my goodness. Last update. I got these guys. Flat spot savers. I got them off of Amazon. It's like $40. And I'm going to try that because unfortunately I drove the car with the new wheels and they are heavily flat spotted. And I mean heavily flat spotted. All 4 of them. So, which sucks because they're like brand spanking new tires. 2018, 2019. And yes, I know it's getting kind of old already, but yeah, I mean, tread depth wise, they're like brand new and they ride like shit. So I got them pumped all the way up to 50 psi, their max pressure, and we're gonna slap them bad boys underneath them, and hopefully that'll help prevent and reverse any of the flat spotting that's happened. And if anything, we'll just have to drive it at 50 psi for a little while and see what happens, I guess. But either we got to get new tires or not, I don't know. But I have the old tires here for sale if anybody would like to purchase them. The wheels are in really great shape. 2 of the wheels have some curb rash, nothing major, and they're in great shape either way. So tires are still really decent, especially the rear ones are brand new, less than 3,000 miles. I figured 700 OBO. So considering the fact that they're just throw on, ready to go, balanced, just bolt them on and go. So that'll help me recoup some of the money. And if you want some STS seats, I've got some for sale as well. They're heated and cooled, but pretty sure everything about that needs to be replaced. The heaters and the cooling. Either that or my car just doesn't work with that for some reason. But yeah, the seats are for sale. They're in great shape. I figured $250 so for the set. But that's about that. So hope y'all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. God bless.